Welcome to Unboxing, Play and Profit for the Gaming Curious. I'm Lane Nooney.
And I'm Joost van Dreunen.
And we're here digging deep on why games matter in today's economy. On the docket today, Friday, September 19th, we're diving into the data from our annual Student Gameplay Practices Survey. Because if you want to understand the future of games, let's start with the people actually playing them. From favorite consoles and streaming services to sports gambling, NFTs, Discord, and VR, we've got the receipts on what the kids are really up to. All that and more with your two very statistically minded co-hosts. But first, we've got some catching up to do. All right, Joost, what are you doing?
I'm finding my ass. It's unbelievable, like lack of routine in my professional life when it comes to technology. So yeah, I love that. I love that. It's so fun to do that. How about you? How's it going with you?
watching you fumble around over there. We're just having a lot of technical difficulties this morning, listeners, this afternoon while we're recording this. Cameras aren't working. You know, people are getting booted out of rooms. You know, it's frustrating living in the
wild
21st
west
century.
of podcasting. Is just craziness.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's great. It's great. I mean, it's These are hard times. It's been a rough week. We talked about that in our pre-call.
You know, it's that I think it's also a personal failing, like a character flaw. I just don't have the patience to suffer through like more than one or two faults when it comes to this. I'm just like annoyed. I'm ready to like send a carrier pigeon and, you know, like just go back to analog. It just doesn't make sense. Yesterday, my big kid, he somehow managed to connect his phone to my Apple account and promptly disconnected all of my devices for the remainder of the day. And you're just like, my Apple Pay didn't work. He got 272 voicemail messages instantaneously. It's just like all hell broke loose. You're like, oh my God, I have so much work to do. And then this. So I think it's a theme is what I'm saying.
That's incredible. That my version of that as a child was when I had it was not nearly so devastating for my mother, but it was very annoying, was that I had my own computer that ran Windows 3.1, and I got a lot of entertainment. The way that I learned about what different file types were, you know, an exe versus a .bat versus a .bmp and a .wave and all of that, was that I would delete different ones until the computer stopped working.
Oh wow!
And so all of a sudden I'd delete like a core functioning file of the fucking hard drive. And then I'd be like, Mommy, the computer doesn't work. And then she would have to come in and reformat it on floppy disks, which was a non-trivial process in like 1991, you know? You know, it could take, like, eventually she just taught me how to do it because she was so, just like, more than once. I think by the second time she happened, she was like, you're learning how to do this. So you want to fuck around like this? You're going to sit here for an hour.
A strong parental move. It's like, you know what? Here's how you make a sandwich. Now piss off. It's also, you know, interesting to imagine you as a child. It's just that notion is like, as you just sort of like popped into my head as like a full grown adult. But of course, there was like a little Lane out there.
There was a little Lane. They were really cute, you know. They were underloved, but very, very precocious.
Well, maybe if you didn't break the computer every time.
Precocious in their own way, you know. Yeah, I look like such a tiny mister in like all of my childhood photos. Like I'm just like in a little button-up polo shirt. Or like, you know, just I had like a horrible cowlick as a child that I never understood how I was supposed to deal with in a school photo. My mother was like chronically ashamed of like every picture that came back of her like little man, you know, like she could not. There's a whole part of my childhood where my mother only kept the proof portraits because like she just did not want to buy the photos. Like I was that embarrassing. Like
Listen, that's
you
both
know.
sad and typical. I don't know, maybe it's generational, but you should, like, parents nowadays, they think their kids are the best always, which is very a strange experience because my upbringing wasn't as much as like, you look weird here. But also, like, you're supposed to just say something nice, like they're 7 or
Yeah.
12, whatever. Like, come on.
Yeah. It didn't
Well,
it didn't make me stop looking like a goofball in every single photo I took, you know.
a pile of broken PC equipment in the background,
Yeah.
smoking.
I'll show you. I'll bring some photos in sometime of little me.
Oh, that's gonna be a context. That's gonna have to be a YouTube video. We got to share those. We'll do like a
We'll
slideshow,
put them up on the. Yeah, we can do a slideshow. Us as children.
and we'll pinpoint the point, but the exact moment it all went south, and we ended up in games. All right.
Facts.
Let's see. We have a lot to discuss because I'm looking. So I have my station ready. I failed you horribly. My success is getting the best of me, and I overpromised on my ability to go through all the data.
That's true. I was like, Yost is a data guy. This will be a whiz. He can just make all these charts and numbers, and I don't have to do anything because he just probably has like a button on his computer that does it for him. That's what I thought.
That's what I like simulated to to be like, and am not. It's now all coming to the front.
Yeah. So anyway, reader, I think gentle listener, I think we had planned on being able to do more aggregate data, but I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of walk through our data consecutively, right? We haven't been able to like pull it together into a comprehensive data set. That eluded us because Yoast can't figure out where the on button is on his computer, and or the save Excel sheet.
I deleted
Um,
this WAV file. Do you think that was?
but yeah, we have a lot of content to go through.
Yeah.
So do you want to get to it?
I have in front of me on my screen on the left Lane's result, which has
Oh, I don't have your results.
51 responses, and on the right 42 from my class.
Man, your class let you down. That's hilarious. Hilarious.
I'm not as terrifying, I guess. I need to step up my anxiety levels in the classroom.
Yeah, I have more responses than there are students in the class, which is fascinating. I think what happened is a student dropped, and so I have their answers, and then whatever student added, they also filled it out. So
So there's like a ghost, like a
yeah, there's a
ghost
person who
student
will never complete the class, but their data is in the sheet. So they are
log for.
demographically the same. So as you tell me your data, it'll be a surprise to me.
Oh,
But yeah, let's get to it. This stuff is fun, and I want to get to talking about it. Now there was, listeners may recall the controversial question about what country are you from, and
very
Yost had
controversial.
very controversial. Yost had some strong opinions about that, but it turns out both of ours, I think, have a pretty strong
Hmm.
U.S. and China.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is that's the kind of what I have learned over the years is that is the NYU demo, is that you're teaching weirdly half to American students, half to Chinese students, and somehow you have to like have content that kind of works across that, which is a wild position to be in, and it's not a state that like everybody who it's a kind of uncommon position to be in, but it is a privilege to, I think, work across those dimensions.
Yeah, 100%. When I look at the rest of the distribution, it gets much more varied, but I too have like a pretty easy split. I have 50% US students and 33 from China, and then
Oh,
everything
wow.
else.
So I
So
have kind of almost the reverse. I
you have
have
the reverse.
37% from the US, 45% from China, and then a broad smattering, a student from Hong Kong, Colombia, India, Puerto Rico, Ukraine, South Korea, Venezuela, and Canada, and only one of each of those. No, two South Korean students.
Oh, you got South
So
Korea. Very fancy.
yeah,
I don't have South Koreans. I do have one from India, one from Kazakhstan, and my favorite recently discovered territory,
Tuvalu.
Tuvalu.
Take a left at Fuji.
Take
You're
oh yeah, it's like a 40-minute boat ride. I
amazing.
estimate.
So I think, for both of us, I think this demography can wind up structuring a lot. It really shifts how you teach.
Hmm.
There is no cultural baseline in classes like theirs. I can't cite a game and assume that everyone in that room has played it because it's part of like standardized American AAA game culture. And I think that kind of the way that unsettles the norms of the class is really productive for me.
Agreed. Do you? Let me ask a question at the top. Do you share this information in class with the students?
In past semesters I've done just screen caps of some. I don't share the raw data,
No, no,
but
no, no.
I've taken screen caps of some of the charts
Hmm.
and shared it with them, particularly around stuff like like console preferences, like a lot of the things that are kind of like easy topics. What I might do this year, because I suspect we'll be tight on time, is just direct them to listen to the podcast, because also we need those listens.
that's that's our
And
business
I
model.
convert my students into, so maybe I'll do probably some preview graphs of like, here's some interesting stuff that came up, and then kick them over to the podcast to learn more.
Very smart. Yeah, I mean, at some points it becomes a little bit too much info. As you can imagine, my class has a lot of data in it, and the data is kind of straining. Not for me to talk about, but for them to absorb in real time. It's always like, here's another chart. Okay, what am I supposed to do? What does it say? And so if you do enough of those, then you just lose them very
Yeah.
quickly. So it's
So
not an immediate fit,
yeah.
but I like the quality of the data that we.
All right, Yost. So when we did the segmentation for this survey, the first set of questions we did related to device ownership and access. And the first question we asked there was, what current or recent generation gaming devices do you own? This was basically a console question. We asked about a whole range of
Mhm,
consoles. We also included the Steam Deck in this answer,
mhm.
to kind of see how it holds up. And Yost, what were your top three answers to this question?
I have, with a huge margin, the Switch. 50% of them owns the Switch. And number two is PlayStation 5. And then number three is sort of shared between a bunch of devices, namely the 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, the Wii, and the Steam Deck.
Oh, interesting.
So a huge spread. Nobody has an Xbox Ally X. Only one person with a PlayStation Portal and one person with a 3DS at the
What is
bottom.
the PlayStation Portal?
It's the accessory. It's a
Oh, it's
you know,
the remote gaming device. It's like the Rogue Ally. Okay.
yes.
Fascinating. So, when you look at your Switch numbers, are you combining Switch 1 and 2?
Nope, separate.
Okay. If I look just at Switch 1, 25 students, so half my class,
Perfect.
is Switch. If I add, there's another 4 who have a Switch 2, so slightly over 50%. My next highest category is actually, I do not own a dedicated gaming device. 15 of my, so 30% of the class does not own a console or a Steam Deck. And then
Crazy.
the next one is a PlayStation 5, with 11 of my students have a PlayStation 5. From there are no other categories in double digits for students for me.
Hmm.
So it's all 10 or less. The next kind of category down is Xbox One and Wii. And then everything else is under Xbox 360, Series X. I've got one Rogue Ally owner.
Hmm.
I have 4 people with a Wii U. Only 2 with a Steam Deck. That's interesting.
It's
Like,
very low.
it was much bigger for me in a prior my last semester. It was almost 20% of the class had a Steam Deck within a year of it
Hmm. Hmm.
coming out. So I'm curious if this is just like a weird aberration. And then I've got, someone put in, I think they wrote in, did we have a write in? We shouldn't have done that because now I have someone wrote, "Am my PC for lol?"
League of Legends.
Leave two legends. It's like I don't need that level of detail. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate a custom built PC, but it's actually one of the options.
It is one of the. I have 3 students who have custom built PC as an option, but yeah, it's basically either it's Switch and PlayStation 5. The Xbox One, I have 7 students with an Xbox One.
It's wild. Like the Switch is, I mean, it's just half. Like you
Yeah,
understand, like Nintendo is just this juggernaut of a company.
yeah. And why? What's the? I don't know. There's a lot of interesting long-term questions, like how do companies like PlayStation and Xbox get people to convert? If they're locked in on Switch.
Hmm.
Um, but any general insights you would derive just from that kind of like generational, even from that kind of top shelf analysis, from that top shelf data?
So, I would invert it and say the reason you see, at least in mine, so many Xboxes like the 360 and the PlayStation 3 and 4 is like it feels like those are all hand-me-down
Yeah.
devices. And it's like, well, my older sibling had this and therefore I now have it, or I took it with me to college. Like that's a story I hear a lot.
Yep.
So there's sort of like so from a, I guess, business strategic perspective, like don't knock old equipment. Like people cling to those much longer than you think.
Yes.
And then, it seems like PlayStation 5 and the Switch, they clearly outperform everybody else, which explains in part, of course, why an Xbox would move the way it's doing, because they can't beat either of these companies at an install basis. Like it's just never going to happen. I would be deeply skeptical if I saw a chart where the distribution showed Xbox being the number one or two device. Not because it's not great stuff. It's just like that's not how the consumer market works. So it's very consistent,
Hmm.
and there's also, it suggests a much, at least my data suggests a longer tail. I see that yours has, like, the older devices are not as popular. Like the Xbox One, you have a few, but like the rest of them are few and far between. So yours is much more like how you say, triangular. Like you have like these
Yeah.
two big ones, and then
Concentrated,
and the
and
rest
then
is much lower.
a bunch of students who just don't own. It's just not how they play,
Hmm.
right?
Correct.
Which could be. I have a higher level of Chinese students in my class, so it could be reflecting a sort of non-console dominance culture,
Mm,
right?
interesting.
Our next question in that area was, if you play games on PC, what digital storefronts do you use? This is always a handy chart when I want to show monopoly power and how it works when we get to talking about Steam later on in my class, right? So our options were Steam, Epic, Itch, and then there was a write in. I got a few write ins. And then I do not play games on PC, so 17% of my class fell into that category, but 83% of my class
Yeah.
uses Steam.
Yeah. I have 85.
Yeah,
It's just a
yeah.
wild percentage. I mean, look, it's accessible. Does that count as a monopoly? Kind of, but it's they have incredible market.
It's a platform monopoly, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's not, they're not monopolistic in the traditional sense of denying consumer choice, but they use network effects to exert a disproportionate amount of control in the marketplace, right?
100%. We could talk about that some other time, but that's absolutely true. The great innovator becomes the great interrupter here. The
I was
Epic
happy.
Game Store is pretty popular too, though. I have 42%. What about you?
Oh, interesting. Mine is only 25. Maybe after my class is done, it'll have more adherence.
Recruiting.
And I am pleased to see that 14% of my students use Itch.
Why does that please you?
Well,
But
because I like Itch.
you like it?
It's like a marketplace for, independent, small scale, community oriented game production. It just speaks to a different kind of taste, right? And so
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
what I appreciate seeing, that, is something my students are into. Do you have a lot of Itch users in your class?
17%.
17%. So roughly the same as mine.
Well,
Intriguing.
but I have to add, like, look, because I guess that's probably the same for you. Mine is cross listed with the Game Center, so I get like a half a dozen Game Center students who I assume are all on there anyways. So
Yeah.
I think that that's probably not representative for like a general population because of their sort of chosen path. But it's still good. It's interesting to see like that. It's in both of our classes. The number three is itch.
Yeah, that for college educated students interested in taking a games class at NYU, a decent proportion of them are aware and accessing these kind of alternative storefronts, right?
Hmm, hmm.
Um, I mean, there's my class counts for like both of ours, obviously for the NYU's biggest minor, which is business, entertainment, media, and technology, and that could mean our classes are overfilled with business students, but
Hmm.
that's not it's not entirely bearing out. Not to assume that business students aren't on itch.io, but you know, um, and then a few like shout out pity votes for EA, Blizzard, and GOG
Yep.
in at the bottom.
BattleNet,
Yeah,
Origin.
the bottom of my
I
data.
have Sims 4 as one of the options. One of
As
the
a marketplace, as a digital store, that's where I buy all my games. And
listen,
Sims 4.
that's where I buy all of my entertainment. It's like, yeah, you can have any color as long as it's black.
My favorite pie chart is next.
Yes, I can see why.
Do you regularly, once a week, do you play using a VR headset and it's just 100% no? It's just a circle that's one color.
It might as well have said fuck no.
I'm so into it.
I have one student. I have
One
it's
little sliver of
so
color.
so I got like this sort of like squinting Pac-Man. It's like it's like it's really very sad. It's too bad.
Yeah,
It's a tough sell. Like, like I remember during the pandemic, I had this one student, and I'm like, what is he doing? I was watching him with his goggles on, and he was taking the class, the Zoom call inside of VR, and so it's like the weirdest experience. So you had like for a hot second a bunch of
yeah.
students, at least in my world, that experimenting with it,
I
but
had
that's
students when we came back from the pandemic. I had students who were dead set, who were like evangelizing to me, who were absolutely committed that VR was the thing, that it was happening, that it was coming, that we were all haters, that we didn't see the writing on the wall. And I was just like, TikTok man, check with me in 5 years. And it's like the stats kind of speak for themselves. I also looked at my longitudinal data for this over the years, and it's
oh
true that it's in 2022 my data was 20% of the class
wow.
had played with a VR headset. We didn't specify weekly, but they said yes, used a VR headset. A year later it was down to 10%, and now it's down to 0. So, like, and these are the kids who were trapped at home during the pandemic. VR did not do a fucking thing for them.
Yeah, it didn't take.
Didn't take.
I think it, and I mean, I have some explanations, but it's like it's just really interesting because it was subsidized. I mean, it continues to be subsidized at like four, five, $6 billion a year. I mean, it's just like they've spent so far 65 billion trying to get all of
And
this
that's
off the ground.
that's just in this bubble of the VR market, not even
Hmm.
counting every time it's happened previously. We could
Hmm.
we could have an whole episode on like, you know, the failing crater that is the VR industry, but or the non-expansion potential, of VR.
It's an interesting one. I mean, I know. I mean, there is of course a world outside of this classroom where you know people play the VR. There's some numbers out there that say it's about 10 million installs, but
Yeah,
that's relatively small compared to anything else.
yeah.
So it's unlikely that you would pick up on that. Also, would argue that it's kind of expensive and it has like not a great use case as a piece of
If
equipment
you
when you.
can, it's certainly a market that you can make money in, but it is not the thing that everyone imagined it was going to be, right?
No,
Which was the new horizon for investment.
correct.
Speaking of other lost horizons of investment, question 4: do you play or own assets in any blockchain NFT games? Um, this is actually a slightly higher answer than I might have had last year, but oh, actually, 5 said I don't know,
Yeah, unsure.
unsure.
Like,
That happened in a class where I was giving a presentation about an NFT game, and a student said, "Oh, I have one of those. I didn't know it was a crypto game." Great job, everybody.
well done.
Like,
It's like social casino. It sort of hides in plain sight. Like, oh, we're not. Oh no,
yeah.
you're totally slot machine. Go
So
away.
85% of my students know that they do not own any crypto assets in games. 3 do. So there were 3 students. So that comes out to 6%.
Wow. I have no unsure students. I just have only one who actually plays crypto games, and the rest is a hard no.
Okay.
It's interesting. There's always one or two. There's always a few
Yeah.
Web3 people in
There's
the
always
house.
an edge lord or two hanging out in the stats, you know?
Listen, like Stern teaches entire classes about
Yeah.
cryptocurrency and blockchain and all this stuff, and it's
Well, and my class has more of them than yours does. So, you know.
it's
I mean
it's
the class does attract a certain kind of like speculative thinker about technology. You
mhm.
know, I'll never forget the student who asked for a consult with me about his Decentraland investments.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was just like, this is a very particular school that I teach at.
It's very different.
Like this would not be happening in many other places in the country.
No,
Sure.
no, it's true, and it's in some ways. I mean, the way I make sense of it is that you have these students that are exposed to these new technologies, and then they hear about it, and they're like, well, look, somebody here must know something because they're not sure themselves, and so there's like an uncertainty or just a lack of information. Like, is it real? Can you trust it? If I'm going to study this and build my career around this, and so I think they genuinely look for sort of experience and advice, but you know, I don't think in either of our classes they're going to come and say, "Wow, that was an uplifting conversation." Because 5 years later, it's the blockchain is up, it's doubled in value, but the
Yeah.
gaming applications or whatever the consumer
Yeah.
adoption of it has been lackluster.
Our yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Our next section, gaming habits. Can we skip to the second one and do that first?
Yeah.
So this is kind of where, what are you playing the
Wow.
most? Things like that. Obviously, self-reporting is usually, has a high degree of can have a high degree of inaccuracy, but there's some forms of it that are, there's pretty clear tendencies regardless.
Hmm.
Between PC, console, mobile, what is your class's most played game platform?
PC with 60%, followed by mobile 26 and console 14.
That is roughly adjacent to mine. So 55% PC, 30% mobile, 15% console. So even for all those students who are using a console, they still consider it the thing they played the least, which is fascinating.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
It's almost identical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same,
Not a lot of
same
variance.
probably for how many mobile games you've downloaded.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of like taking a pie chart and splitting it into fifths or something. It's not there's not a huge variance. It's like they all seem to have somewhere between they mostly seem to have somewhere between 1 to 5 or 10 or more
Hmm.
games.
Same.
I don't know that this is the best way for us to ask this question. I think I want to think more maybe next year about what info we're
Hmm.
trying to get from this question, but I think
Yeah, I
like
totally agree.
prevalence is kind of the thing, but um, you know, yeah, I'm not sure this is the best formulation to think about how dominant mobile games are in their lives.
Let's go to their favorite games.
I have to look at this. I can't read this if I just look at it as a chart. So I have to look at this in their actual. I have to view this part in sheets. You tell me some of yours, and then you
I
show
have
me yours. I'll show you mine.
okay, okay. I'm calling HR.
Clip it.
It's. I have basically a whole list of things like Diablo, Elden Ring. I have Slay the Spire, big fan of that one. Kirby Air Riders, like stuff like that. And then, so those are all one entry each, and then I have two that have uh, just stand out. Is have Minecraft and Silk Song.
Yeah. Why are kids excited to be playing Minecraft? Like it's been out for I would say I would agree. I have a lot of Silk Song. So this is an entry where we allow them to type in. And so these entries, because we haven't gone in and like cleaned up the data, have a lot of variance because every one of them structures their answer differently. Some write a full sentence, some just name a game, some use its abbreviations. So I've got everything from NBA 2K26, Counter Strike 2, several votes for Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which I don't know this game. Did that show up for Expedition 33? This is a role playing video game developed by Sandfall. Okie dokie. Rainbow Siege 6. I do have a student who says Minecraft again. So Jackbox, Valorant, new LinkedIn games.
What?
Controversial take. Whoa, I didn't even really
Uh,
remember that LinkedIn had games.
what?
Can we do a LinkedIn games special episode?
What?
Multiple votes for Valorant. Some student just wrote video game.
Oh, a good answer.
Since I was a game at the year 5. Wow, okay. All right. I don't know what that means. Where Winds Meet, Silk Song, Near Automa, couple votes for that. Cyberpunk, Baldur's Gate, Epic 7, Hades 2,
Hmm.
Dress to Impress Roblox. Um, but yeah, quite probably the thing that recurs the most is Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Yep, Silk Song is big.
Silk Song
I
big.
noticed now that a few of the write-in entries also contain Silk Song, so it's actually by far the most popular
Yes,
one.
yeah. There's a few votes for Valorant. Did they do a big redo or something that people are still excited about Valorant?
That one is pretty consistent. It's a bit evergreen. Like I think Marvel Rivals is competing with it now, but that one is bit like Overwatch is faded a lot.
And I have also several votes for Tomodachi Collection. Is a Japan only 2009 social simulation video game for the Nintendo DS. Wow,
Hmm.
that's very specific that several of my students are into it. Valorant, but the internet in my dorm is a total disaster, so I'm changing to Sekiro. I'll go to the technology center to play Valorant a week later since it's not yet open.
It's very specific.
I love the drama.
You know, I need that kind of color. Like, explain it to me
Yeah,
like I'm
I
5.
love Valorant, but I can't. The internet sucks ass. You know. So yeah, big. If anyone over at Hollow Knight is worried, about whether their game's a hit, the youth love it.
The the youths.
The youth. Hello, fellow kids.
Let's move down two
Yep.
questions and go to my favorite game when I was 12 years old was dot dot dot.
I have one answer that rises strongly, like 4x above everything else,
Okay,
which is
on the count of 3, we're going to say the same thing.
all right.
1, 2, 3.
Minecraft.
It's just wild. And then there's a whole bunch of like other answers, so it's actually more than what it shows on my end.
Yes.
It's 1 in 4 students came up with Minecraft. They when they were 12, they that's what they played.
Yeah. So Minecraft, Pokemon, Mario Hoops, Counter Strike. You were playing Counter Strike when you were 12?
Not appropriate.
Apparently, I have a student who was a former competitive chess player.
Okay.
CSGO, Minecraft, Overwatch, PUBG, Harvest Moon, Minecraft, Roblox, Honor of Kings. Yeah, Minecraft is its dominance will not be interfered with. You got any surprises over there?
Let me see here. Mostly something along the lines of balloons. Okay. It's like how do you? I find it obviously because like maybe that's where I overvalue this personally, but I have such a like deep emotional connection to so many of these things. Maybe I ask these questions precisely because of that. But like some people are kind of like, yeah, I guess I kind of played in whatever this game, and and you're just like, really, like it meant so little. Like, it's why aren't you more excited? I see a bunch of Roblox.
Several Honor of Kings, actually, if I'm reading the actual text. Club Penguin, shout out.
There's a very, very persistent person here playing The Sims. It's
Oh my
just
god, they have like one. Yeah. All right, amazing.
very good. All right, so that I see that there's a slightly different order here.
But do we want, since we're still talking about individual games, do we want to do the last game you played that surprised you, good or bad?
Yes, I was gonna say exactly that.
And I am looking up. I have not yet. There's a whenever my multiple students want to come talk to me about something, I'm like, ugh, I have to go figure out what this is about. Um, Split Fiction is a
Mm.
popular choice.
Hmm. Yep, that's a big one too. Genshin Impact. I thought I would hate it. I ended up liking it a lot. Okay, that's encouraging.
What's the game that last surprised you? Let me. I'm surprised how much I dislike Resident Evil 4.
Huh. That's just like, holy hell, I hate
Per-
this game.
Persona 5 was great. 12 minutes. Whoa, that's a deep cut.
Whoa,
Um,
bring it back.
I had a number of students who didn't answer this question. I guess it didn't speak to them. And it's a pretty scattered list: Marble Rivals, F1, Dave the Diver,
Mhm.
Rabbit and Steel, Grounded. A lot of FF7, um, Cyberpunk. Claire Obscure gets another shout out here. Black Myth Wukong. Somewhat Fallout New Vegas. Jesus.
Yep, I see that one
Um,
too.
that's interesting. That's a 10-year-old game at this point, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Like that one
Yeah.
is a decade old.
Yeah.
Monument Valley. Hello.
Whoa. Yeah. Slay the Princess. Also, yeah.
Very interesting.
So kind of not a lot to discern from that data.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not super helpful. I think it's a little bit all over the place. Like it's hard to compare in between, but also across these two different groups.
yeah. And then, our last question in this section is a kind of a favorite for you, I feel like, where we ask, what non game media do you spend the most time with? Choose the option you engage with most on a regular basis. And I would say I had three, there's two answers that are really close. There's a close third, and then everything is like kind of like drops off behind that.
Hmm. Go ahead.
Number one is social media:
Hmm.
TikTok, Instagram, no surprises there. Right behind it is music, like whether that's streaming, live shows, collecting. I'd have to imagine a lot of that is Spotify use.
Hmm.
And then the third is film TV, which it would be interesting to even break film TV into, because those are kind of two, like going to the cinema, versus like streaming TV. But 66% said if more than one feels right, pick the one that got most of your attention. But my numbers add up to more than 51. I'm confused. Were they able to pick multiple, Yost?
Hmm.
Oh, you didn't actually prevent them from picking more than one.
I guess not. I have the same problem.
Yeah. So, and then,
But why would you pick only one? Like it's.
because that's the question asks them to, Yost. You wrote the question.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I'm fired.
And then sports, and sadly, I mean, shout out to the 11 students who engage with books. You know,
I have 10. I have
bless you. Like, and then
yeah.
one sweet little vote for art and photography.
That's not
That was
that,
not an option.
that
I think you must have allowed a write-in as well.
Yeah, but I disqualify because those are neither media or art. That's not a thing. That cannot be monetized, therefore it cannot exist.
All right.
I have it slightly the same, but different. The social media is the second biggest one. Music is my biggest, but they're
Okay.
close. And then film, TV is the third. The rest is roughly the same. I don't have a lot of sports in my classroom, but I do. I have more books than sports.
Hmm.
So say,
Oh.
what did you have to say again about business school students? Huh? Nothing now.
Nothing now. Is there any observations you would make about the dominance of social media and music as primary entertainment categories for students in
It's
education?
young people, like that's where they would live. Like, in so many ways, like these are the most consumable and they have the highest velocity in terms of distribution.
Yeah.
That makes total sense to me. Whereas like film and all these other things, like sports, even like you have to kind of be introduced and I go to the games. It's like they have more of a physical sort of recurrent experience around it. So I think it is just not less accessible to just slightly different ceremonial rituals, whatever. Whereas music, you could just kind of pull it up on your phone and off you go. So like YouTube is a huge part of it is music videos and artists distributing that way.
Mm,
So it
mm.
just I think it caters to them specifically.
Speaking of YouTube, let's jump over to section 3,
Yeah.
watching and social. I'm pumped to talk about this. What platforms do you watch game live streams on? And I think we must have allowed them to pick more than one.
This.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I have again I have 3 that come in very close, and then everything else is pretty limited. Do you want to say our number 1 at the same time?
Okay.
One, two,
You
three.
YouTube.
YouTube. All right.
62%.
44 for me. So lower percentage, but still my highest. It got 2 votes more than Twitch.
Hmm. Twitch is a little bit further down. It's 43% for me. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
Twitch is the second largest one, but it has a bigger distinction.
It's so you have a big drop between your number 1 and your number 2.
Yeah, and then the number three is Billy.
Billy. Yep. Same for me. 36% of my class, 18 students. Billy is their third most popular platform. So interestingly, yeah, so like a real spread across the sort of East Asian Chinese dominant streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Bilibili, Douyu, Huya, Africa, um, and then 0 for Facebook gaming. Do you have any Kick users?
I have 5%.
Wow. I have none, which was a surprise to me.
It's probably the same. At least that other person that has NFTs. Like I feel like there's a pretty good chance that that's the same person.
That's the same person.
Wait till we get the sports betting. Like I'm
Um,
sensing a pattern here.
and then I have 32% of my students who say they don't watch game live streams. So that would mean 58% do. So about 2/3. And that's definitely something I would say we've probably both seen transform over the period of our classes. Is the way that streaming has become a really dominant topic. When I first started teaching this class, there wasn't even anything I could teach them about streaming. Like there was nothing written. I had to skip it until there was like even a book.
Yeah, it's such a weird category. I have 26% of students saying they don't watch game live streams.
Okay, so you've got about 75% of yours do,
Hmm.
about 60% of mine do, but easy majorities for both of these.
Hmm. Yeah, and what's notable, of course, is that Bilibili, Douyu, and Huya are very Asian based, so
Mm-hmm.
that's probably why
Yep.
watching live streams there is huge. Like
Yeah.
like the audiences that these Asian channels or whatever platforms cater to are like 5 times the size of Twitch.
Yeah.
So this is like there's a lot of
Big cultural dimension here. Yeah.
big cultural dimension. Exactly.
Yeah. So a lot of the rest of our questions were the next one is sort of about like the proliferation between gaming versus non-gaming content in live streaming platforms. So we asked, do you watch non-game content? So like this is kind of like the just chatting question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that has become such a bulk of like Twitch's revenue base. And I got a basically a 70% no, 30% yes. So one third. So like about half of the students who are watching streaming are watching just chatting shows or like non-game content.
Interesting. They all answered it for some reason. In your case, I have 60-40.
No to yes.
Yes, correct.
Oh, interesting. So more of yours are watching non-game content.
41%, 40% watch non-gaming content. Yes.
Okay. All right.
What about live concerts?
That is
In game.
in a live concert in a game. 30% say yes. 70% say no.
I have 36. It's about the same. It's like 1 or 2% difference.
And then if you want the Pac-Man reversed, we ask them, "Do you use Discord?" And mine is 76% yes, 23% no. So
91%.
whoa, go off.
That's wild.
Yeah, you want to talk about like what has probably been the least media reported game platform like usage? Like Discord is just not discussed, I think, at the scale that it should be in terms of the role it plays in mediating
Mm-hmm.
young people's like social media practices, right?
100%. It's one of the most popular platforms. It allows for the I mean, it's basically like you just build your own subgroups to talk about the stuff that you find
Yep.
interesting.
Yep.
So, and I think it's also, I don't know if people look at it from a company level, but it offers at least like a sense of more privacy and quiet. Like it doesn't have like an aggressive ad model just yet.
Yeah.
And so it
Yeah.
feels more private. It feels less cluttered. You can you can connect directly in phone calls, and so there's a lot of things that people like, and not a lot of stuff people don't like. So that probably is why I don't see I wouldn't see my mother on a Discord. She'd be like, "What?"
I mean,
No.
I can't even see my most of my coworkers on it. It was enough to get them on Slack,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
let alone to try and I mean, there's a just a big generational gap in what you might call the long form chat spaces or these kinds of apps that are super text based. They're not really hot takey in the way that the experience of Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat is. And they are like community forward, right? So they're kind of an extension of like the rise of the group chat, which is like that's how I experience all of my kind of mediated social network experience is I don't want to my broadcasts to everyone are very different from how I'm communicating with different peer groups.
Hmm.
But it's also like, if they're in Roblox and they want to meet a friend and they want to chat with that person, they everyone, if they know how to get to immediately pipeline themselves to meet up on Discord, right?
Hmm.
That's the place where this activity happens. So
Yeah, I remember I mean, he's 12 now, but a few years ago he asked for Roblox and Discord because all his friends were on Discord.
yep.
And it's you know it's sort of like a milestone. You're like, is this a good idea, yes or no? But it's so pervasive. It's sort of like their go-to thing. I think it's what WhatsApp used to be,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know
But
like
it's much more durable, I think, as a long form experience.
yes, totally agree.
So then we added kind of I think a section that was mostly you on participation and creation.
To get a sense,
Yeah.
what does it say? Okay, so here the question is, I've designed or created content on the following platform or platforms that monetizes user-generated content. Check all that apply. So what did they check?
For most of mine it was not applicable, so I had 70% basically said not applicable. 11 have made content on Minecraft. I guess the thing about Minecraft was it did not occur, like on Minecraft you can create content but it doesn't mean you necessarily monetize it. So I don't know if these should be two different questions of like
Probably.
I have monetized, like, have I created shit? Sure. Monetizing it is a different question. But, about almost 25%, 23% of my students have created content in Minecraft, 3 in Roblox, 1 in Fortnite.
Hmm. 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 I have one in Fortnite, three in Roblox, four in Minecraft, and like 77% not applicable. And then there's a few like showboating. There,
Sims 4.
I do not see Sims 4, but it says I did modding for a bit and have a guide on DD2 on Nexus, Unity, and Fallout and TS4.
All right. I have a student who just wrote the number. Oh, who just didn't write an answer,
Yeah,
but
that's super
filled
helpful.
out the selected the
Solid participation
yeah,
awards coming
good
your
work.
way.
And then we have a kind of fun, open ended, any other game related activities you'd like to share? Like, are you an active streamer? Do you play esports? Students have wide ranging. I love these kind of questions because I discover things I didn't even know existed. I once had a student who was a like China Joy like marketing girl. Like her job was to be on the showroom floor in kind of like anime wear, right? Like holding a big sign or, directing traffic, whatnot. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's a job. Okay.
That's
um,
hilarious. I
uh,
There's so much information. I mean, these are all this is open questions. So I have like 40. I have all these entries that are kind of mind-boggling. I was a huge mobile gamer during the ages 9 to 13, but not anymore. You've lived a rich life, friend. Like it's just like
I
just
want
the,
to know what it means to be a huge mobile gamer. I love that.
it's like
Um,
it's there's so much to unpack here.
Persona concerts in Japan.
Ooh.
So going to the concerts of the game franchise. I've got students working on their own game. Someone says they met the Twitch streamer I Am Speed yesterday next to their house.
Mm.
All right. Completed Legends of Runeterra and did freelance translations for Valorant Champion Tournament Americas. Um, Esports streamer for the game Epic 7, active streamer up until 2 months ago. I really like watching Let's Plays. So I stream games on Douyin, the Chinese
Ooh.
TikTok.
Here's one. I was a Forza Horizon 5 programmer before I got kicked out due to in-team conflicts.
Deep
Whoa.
cut. Woo!
I gotta follow up on that.
I play boosting casually. Not directly boosting, but more like the play with the boss, whoever pay me to play with.
Okay.
More a company type than boosting rank. Oh, okay. So he was the. I shouldn't assume a man, but was employed as a booster to do accompaniment in like a it sounds like a massively multiplayer game or something like that.
Mm,
Um, Interesting.
very interesting.
3D
So,
modeling. Oh, I pay attention to the Counter Strike in-game item market.
the skins trading.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the unofficial way to say that. Yeah.
I mean, I pay attention to the in-game. It's that's what you said earlier. That like speculative. That tends to be the case. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
speculative traders love stuff like that.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Or students of that
yeah.
school of thought.
So, what percentage of your students say they hope to work in the video game industry one day?
A overwhelming 71%.
I have a soul crushing 66.7%.
The labor market is just abundant.
No surprise that that's an element that our classes are attracting, very very obvious, but it's a tough. I just had a student in my office today asking for advice on how to get into the game industry. Maybe we need like a student club or something, Yost. Can
What do
we
you mean
make NYU pay us to do that?
a, a club for what?
For like students who want to go into the game industry.
That already exists at Stern.
They have a club just for that?
There's an undergraduate game club and a MBA game club. They have two
And
clubs.
that's what
Clubbing.
they're career focused, or they just play games together?
Both. So you have like so one of my
But you
previous.
can only be in them if you're in Stern?
I don't know that.
Man.
I don't think so. So when I mean, so there's a variety of different touch points. But so when I taught my class at Tisch back in the day, there was like this group of Magic players that would gather in the basement and like
Okay, grandpa. All right. All right. Come on.
well, why is that a grandpa thing? That's ageist. I will not stand for this. And then at Stern, they have. I had a TA. She was the captain of the Overwatch esports team for Stern, and there was like a the same way that people do badminton, sort of intramural, competitively, whatever. That was a whole setup, and so that all exists. And so one of
No,
the
but
best
I'm
students.
talking about something very different, which is specifically like and NYU has a lot of these that they are professionalization clubs. They are clubs for getting students pipelined into job markets,
Yes,
and
but I'm
that's
saying like that's the rudimentary, like that's the
yep.
self-organized. I agree that we could probably shed some more energy and light in their direction and
But
make
I
that
need
a
a
thing.
NYU needs to give me more money for that.
Yeah,
Um,
we could do like a gaming barbecue, pan
or like
faculty barbecue.
like some place to gather up all the the alumni who work in the industry, the students who would like to get into it, having ways for them to connect, things like that. Anyway, it's just like, you know problems for a different version of Lane who has the bandwidth for that. Yeah, it's aspirational.
Hmm. I have it too. I mean, a lot of them want to. Then there's no on ramp.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I think about. It's very challenging. um Adjacent behaviors. I play board games more than once a month. Majority of my students, 66%, say no. So about a third play board games once a month. Um, Collectible card games, even lower. So 17% play those once a month.
oh, that's interesting. Mine are 36% play board games regularly, and the same percentage plays collectible
Oh,
card games. No drop off for me. See, that's
interesting.
all these card games, all these Magic players. I told you, it's not old timey. It's current. What about sports betting? I know you like that one.
I know. I really thought this was going to be a more satisfying statistic. Only 10% of my students have a sports betting app on their phone. I thought it would be much higher. They're not one of the dominant media forms that students marked as engaging with.
Hmm.
They're lower, but it just feels endemic, right? I just it feels everywhere and nonstop, and like it certainly is a booming industry. So I thought I would see it reflected in the data, but
I have 10% too, but it's not. I would expect it more. Like I mean, I guess there's not a lot of
I mean, I'm not
sports gaming.
wishing for it to be more, but
No, you
I
have
thought
shares. You have shares that you're trying to boost.
I thought that
Pump
given
and dump.
having taken a year off, sports betting has had a huge past year or two. I thought I would really see a bumper crop in this, and then we asked, "Are you actively placing bets?" And there, my percentage goes from 10 to 8. So it seems like from 5 students to 4 students. So the
Um,
ones who have the apps are betting, right?
I assume so, but that's your world of capitalism and speculative finance. Here's the percentage of students that actively place bets in my class: zero. So,
So
talk to me again
they
about your
have the
day
apps on
trading
their phones, but they're not using them. Interesting.
or using them so extensively that they're ashamed to admit any kind of. They seem pretty candid about all this. I see one more big difference between our respective students, but I think that's an interesting one. You know, you'd expect Stern students to be more active and actually place money on it, but that's all you. That's
Yeah.
That's your classroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find out what's going on with those 5 kids. I want answers. What if they all turned out to be my Stern students?
Yeah. And why are they lying to me or you? I don't.
And then our very last question. This
That's a
was a question that Tukon Docker told me to ask. She was like, "Put it on your chart." Game design friend at the NYU Game Center. How frequently do you use a Gen AI tool like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Claude, etc.? And this my pie chart was like our options were multiple times a day, daily, few times a week, weekly, rarely, and never. And you know, I've got three basically rarely, daily, and a few times a week have the most. Like there's not a lot of students who are using it multiple times a day, but there's a lot of students who think that they're using it once a day.
Mm-hmm.
But then the biggest number, biggest number is actually rarely 1 to 2 times a month.
Really?
Yeah. And then I have 11% who said they've never used it.
My third most common answer is a few times a week. It's 17%, which is all right. I guess that makes sense. The second most common answer is never,
Huh.
21%.
Whoa.
And my biggest is multiple times a day, 45%.
That I think is the business school difference.
I think they're just not afraid. They're not afraid
They're not
of
afraid of innovation.
no.
That's
That's hilarious.
so big, yeah, big distinction between our pools there.
Oh yeah.
um
Oh yeah. It's interesting for me to think about that, like how there's, I mean, it's sort of a cultural read in different directions, but the demographic from a country level seems similar, but then there is a lot of like spread still,
mm,
right? I mean, I guess sort of as a sort of closing observation is like, in spite of the fact that it's a very homogenous group on to according to a lot of variables here, they're all going to New York, they're all NYU students, it's sort of a lot less variety and diversity in that sense. They still manage to play a broad range of games and display some really distinct behaviors between our respective groups and classes. It's but there is some surprising things, like it debunks a few myths with regards to like that generational thing where you say, okay, well, what is it that you do and don't play? You'd expect them to use Discord, but not almost exclusively,
yeah.
right? And you'd expect them to do, like, I think the board games one is interesting, that there's 33% of just like analog gameplay. Like, aren't you
Yeah.
kids being ruined by mobile phones? Like, why are you playing board games? What's
I
wrong
mean,
with
there's more kids who've played board games than who've been to a concert inside a game,
you? Hmm.
right?
Yeah, it's a really interesting trend. I think
Those
it's
are I think those are some nice comparisons,
absolutely.
So, top notes about the youth. They're hanging out on Discord playing Silk Song on their Switches.
Mm.
That's
And regularly use AI.
and on their PCs. Yeah. And playing Settlers of Catan while they watch Just Chatting.
That's what we're working with here. That's the profile that we cater to.
All right. Amazing. Good wrap up. Let's marinate on it all and see what comes of it. Also, listeners, if you have any questions about our data, if you want us to look at it in a certain way, we'd love to field some questions about this on a future episode. So feel free to drop us a email. We do actually have an email, unboxing.games.pod@gmail.com, I believe is the yes, unboxing.games.pod@gmail.com. You can reach us there. You can also bug us individually on LinkedIn, but this will go to us most directly. Um, so, Yost, what's next?
What's next is the Pones and Owns.
Pones and owns. Who's pwn and who's owning this week?
Well, why don't you pick one? I got one of each.
Oh man, I mean it's postseason for the WNBA, so that's where my head's at. You know, and my own could be that the New York Liberty did beat the Phoenix Mercury in Game 1. A little bit of an upset. They were the number 4 seed. We're the number 5, and
Mm.
we beat them on their court in overtime. So it wasn't a great game, but we won, and that's really all that matters. So, and tonight, as we are recording this on Wednesday, this will be game. That will be game 2. It is happening in the Barclays Center. That is why I am kitted out in my Ellie the Elephant Slam T-shirt
Oh
and my
Lord.
New York Liberty hat. So I am ready to raise a rally towel and buy a $15 Diet Coke to support the troops. You know.
I need hazard pay. This is let me just remind myself. I have two observations on this. The second is really a question. So the first one is it's interesting that sports fans always speak of this collective we, because I would find it very difficult to believe that you would be able to contribute to the score at a
It's.
professional level.
I
But I
mean, but you're a football fan. Like, don't you like the little men kicking the little ball with their little feet?
yes, yeah, no, I
You
do.
know. I
But
mean,
I
you
don't I
must.
don't participate in that effort. I just observe and quietly enjoy myself. I don't claim any credit for their accomplishments. But hey, you do you.
I think we feel like we are part of the, emotional and spiritual support
Of course, of
of our
course.
team.
Oh, and they deserve it. I totally. Which is the second thing, which is like, is it true that they now have nets around the courts ever since that dildo incident?
No, I've not seen that in any. Like they turned it into. No, no,
Is that is that
there are no,
disinformation?
there are no. That is disinfo. There are no nets around the courts. I was just sitting a couple weeks ago. I got. I splurged. Me and a friend splurged on one game for courtside seats, and there's no net.
Okay.
That would be very strange, and yeah, that would interrupt a lot of things. So,
What does courtside seats go for nowadays?
these were third row courtside, so we were not on the court. We were 3 rows back, but you're not sitting in the bleachers. We were sitting on like these like nice padded chairs.
Mhm.
Those tickets we got them if we had them as season tickets, they would have been 250 each.
Wow.
But because we paid a markup on them both on the open market and a Ticketmaster fee, they were more like 500 each. And they were like our treat to ourselves. So basically, my friends and I have a set of season tickets, and for games that we couldn't go to, we sold them. We didn't jack up the prices a lot, with the exception of the Indiana Fever games.
Mhm,
We
mhm.
sold those for as much as we could get away with. On the personal feeling that if you are only going to come to a New York Liberty game to see the Indiana Fever because you are Caitlin Clark pilled, then I deserve you to rob you for every dollar that you have.
And
So,
that is how capitalism manifests on the other side of the aisle. It's just it's so good.
like if that's the value you want to put on it,
No,
like
I'm
if
with
you
you.
want
Look,
to be a person who I have never seen in this stadium ever before, except that you are coming here to like boo our team because Caitlin Clark is here, then yes, you will pay a premium to sit in our season ticket seats. And so there were like 22 home games, with the basically it was kind of all of the money that we had garnered from even you sell the tickets on Ticketmaster, you're usually getting 11 to 10, $20 a pop anyway. Not big money, but we gathered up all our pennies, and yeah, we instead of taking that money into our pockets, we spent it on a elevated experience.
hey, I like it. It's a you got to be what you're about. It's just it's pricey. It's a lot of
Yeah,
money to
yeah.
sit, and get like sprayed with other people's sweat.
And it's not getting any cheaper. They just raised
Hmm.
the prices again at Barclays. Barclays is one of the more expensive sites, but yeah, they've put a big people's season ticket prices have gone up this year 25 to in some cases 50%. There's a lot of unhappiness about and it's not like the experience is getting better, as a fan or that it's becoming a more premium experience or something. It's just like, oh, we've discovered that we like in all things, we can continue to take you for a ride.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, come on.
I mean, the team is owned by a billionaire. Let's not be confused about what's going on here. But I mean, courtside seats for a MNBA game would be thousands. You know?
Really?
Yeah. Have you never looked at these prices?
No, that's why I asked the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. That yeah. It would be. It would be that like I can't. I would pay. I would be paying like $200 to $300 to sit in the seats that I sit in during the regular season. A game. I pay 76 for my seats right now, and those seats would easily go for several $100s for a Brooklyn Nets game.
That's crazy.
So the economics of like men's basketball is wildly out of is it's really it's a sport. It's a hobby. Seeing it as a hobby for the rich. You know.
Oh, of course, very much. I mean, music is kind of the same thing, but
You know.
like those numbers are crazy.
Like the WNBA for a long time was it was a sport anyone could afford to go see, and that is unfortunately becoming increasingly untrue. Um,
So you managed to make this from an own into a pwn again.
did I just do both?
I'm gonna end with an own
Okay.
because it's a sort of similar blend of happy and sad. Uh, Mario turned 40 last week. I don't know if you know this
His back must hurt.
from carrying.
The
Oh Lord,
the princess,
the
all those shells.
oh
He
yes,
doesn't have a back brace on.
he was blue shelling the front row long before it was cool. The In honor of Mario's 40th birthday, the BBC dug up some old footage, and it's like some on-site visit with Nintendo from 35 years ago, and it's the most amazing thing. So here is Shigeru Miyamoto in like a suit and tie with like a company uniform over it, and they're just showing what they can at least of how they do the process of making these games. Like this is Super Mario 3, and it's just an amazing experience of how like humdrum it is. So I love it because of course the legacy and blah blah blah, but also sort of the modesty as opposed to this rock star equivalent wearing like all these sort of over leveraged designers that we end up with that don't deliver after a certain point in their career. And here it's just like these people just like tinkering around and making it. There's these salaried employees, and there's something to say for that elegance. But it's such a like different cultural perspective. So I recommend you go look it up. But the catchphrase that really got me was that you know, so sort of during the footage from the BBC, you hear this narration, and at one point the narrator goes, he says this thing, quote, "The creative cauldron of Nintendo is a bit of an anticlimax," and it's just such a marvelous little British phrase to throw in there, visiting these Japanese engineers. It's just like so. It's like a 4-minute clip, but it's well worth your time. You should check it out.
All right, throw it in our Discord, and we'll share it out on the button down.
Okie dokie.
All right, on the newsletter. Yost, another thank you, another fun semester going through our class stats together,
Likewise.
and we'll keep chatting about what the kids are up to all
I'll keep
semester long.
I'll keep you posted.
Good night and good game.